Welcome back to another episode of The Man Shreks. I'm JJ.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're here doing the thing that we do. That's my new intro. We're here doing the thing we do. I have like almost no banter.
No banter, really?
Well, I don't know. We could talk about the house hunting that we've done recently. That's always fun.
I mean, we've done that before on this this podcast.
Like roughly exactly a year ago. Oh, goodness.
Yeah. And actually, we should mention, I don't know how crazy it's going to get next week, but, will we have an episode next week?
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
So stay tuned.
It's going to be an adventure. There may not be an episode next week.
There may not be a house for us next week.
Well, that's the big thing, right? I mean, we saw some bizarro houses.
That's true.
For example, I will never forget the lizard house.
The reptile house.
Oh my gosh. So there was this one house, guys, and it was at the upper end of our price range. It was like, wow, this is kind of expensive, but it was really, there was a ton. It was like this gorgeous, super old house. It was like 1928.
Seemed gorgeous.
Well, yeah, they didn't take care of it, and so
we literally pulled up to the house, and I looked at it, and I was like,
you knew
nope.
right away.
I was like,
the vibe's off.
It was like the roof has some issues. There's tons of stuff growing in the gutters, and it just looked off from the outside.
So we go inside, and I couldn't stop thinking this. If they had maintained this house well, just clean it up, paint, if there's a chip in the wood, replace that.
The bones of the house were good.
It was so good, but they had quote exotic animals, right? And that was a warning that they actually released in the seller disclosure. And what they mean by that was one of the bedrooms was cut in half with a giant iguana cage. I mean,
the floor to ceiling iguana cage.
It was huge.
Wall to wall, floor to ceiling iguana cage.
It was like a cage that you would keep like a parrot or a monkey in.
It was a huge iguana.
Yeah, and then the other wall was like tarantulas and lizards and all that kind of stuff. One of them was labeled Shelob, which made me laugh because that's from Lord of the Rings. But there was a room in the basement with the door was closed and was like, we're not even going in there. I don't know what kind of dragon.
Oh, we were terrified. Yeah, it was terrifying. It was just the place was horribly unkempt. It smelled terrible. It was just in really bad disrepair. So,
and some of it was like not that big a deal. They had a big dog, and it was like, okay,
couple of big dogs. Yeah, it smelled pretty bad.
That door.
Yeah.
Okay, that that's normal wear and tear. But lizards and iguanas, that's not normal.
It just the smells in that house were just a whole new level.
And our realtor was like, "Oh, they way overpriced this. Like this will not sell. You could knock like $75,000 off this price, and people still won't buy it." And I was like, "You're right, because
absolutely."
we won't," and we left.
I know. It was quite the adventure.
Oh, I was so every time though, we go up. Even the attic was like a cool attic.
It was a cool old home. The home itself was a cool old building, awesome. And it was very historic, and it would have had a great It had some really cool potential, but it had been in bad shape for years, and these people definitely did not improve on it at all. No.
So that was kind of my big house hunting horror story. That was just amazing and blew my mind. But that's not why we're here. We're here to tell goofy stories and a fantastic hot topic. I'm very excited to get into our little conversation later. So,
nice.
Are you ready to approach the news desk?
Yes.
All right. What do you got?
All right. So my first story is, what do you get when you cross a rodeo with skiing? The wild and wacky Skijoring. I don't even know how to say it.
I love this so much.
So in Colorado, there is a sport called Skijoring, an extreme and quirky winter sport that celebrates the unlikely melding of rodeo and ski culture in the U.S. mountain west.
Let me guess what it is. Okay, so it's in Colorado, so I'm guessing it's skiing on the slopes. But what could they be doing that brings in the rodeo? Do you put a bull on skis and ride it down the mountain?
So you zip past a series of gates at high speed and hurdle off jumps while riding a quarter horse named Sirius. This is this guy. He
rode a horse down the hill.
Okay, so it's a heart-pumping white-knuckle competition at which horses and sometimes dogs, snowmobiles, and even cars tow skiers.
Oh, so they're getting pulled down the mountain
by rope at speeds that can top 40 miles an hour over jumps as high as 8 feet.
That's
and
awesome.
Around obstacles
and
as
terrifying.
They try to lance suspended hoops with a baton, typically a ski pole, that's cut in half.
Holy smokes, that's amazing. Wait. I'm just like, I'm visualizing. I'm like, that's 40 miles. That's crazy fast. That's terrifying fast.
Every winter, thousands of people converge on the old mining town of Leadville, Colorado, high in the Rocky Mountains, lining the downtown's Main Street, packing the saloons to witness one of the most popular races in the country. The spectacle is billed as the granddaddy of them all and has been a tradition here since 1949.
Why don't I know these things? We learn the best stuff on this podcast.
I know.
Honestly, where
Who
else
needs
can
American
you find,
history? Let's just get
where
the
else can
weird
you
stories.
find these fantastic stories.
Oh man, it says it says it gets the adrenaline pumping, getting these two groups of people together with the riders and the skiers. Usually they don't hang out, and getting them together, they mesh pretty well. Says this man who wears fringed leather pants with his ski gear and a nod to the sport's western vibe. Skijoring.
Skijoring.
I don't know how do you say it. I wish I knew. It's SKI, like ski, and then JORING. Skijoring. Skijoring. It draws its name from the Norwegian word.
Oh, then it's probably skijoring.
SKIKJORING, meaning ski driving. It started as a practical mode of transportation in Scandinavia. That was a practical mode of transportation.
Sure.
It became popular.
My eyebrows shot up at that realization.
I was visualizing just some lady in a fancy old dress in the 1900s, like, this is the most practical way of getting anywhere. I'll do this around the Alps, mayhaps. Okay.
That's amazing.
Sure. That is practicality at its finest. So it says today's sport is inherently dangerous.
Yes.
Right. And injuries are not uncommon among riders and skiers alike.
Wow. I love it. I can't believe this. Number one, I do love if you want to ski at 40 miles an hour and you want to ride a bull, the overlap of insanity, like you have to be a little bit crazy to want to do these things. I love that so much.
This racer quoted, "Wrong turn, taking a jump wrong, go down wrong. You could end your season. The hospital bills rack up, but it's just for the thrill of it.
It's just for the thrill of it." Also, I do want to comment on the man wearing leather pants in the slopes. That leather probably doesn't freeze well. That's not going to feel good. Icy tubes for pant legs.
This skier, Jason Decker, pulled out of the race at the last minute because he broke his collarbone in a crash during a recent contest. He wears a protective cup now, a valuable lesson he learned after being hit in the groin by a flying chunk of snow flung by the horse's hoof.
The horse that's pulling the skier, because remember, this is the most practical way to get around. Oh.
This man has been skijoring since he was 14 years old.
They need to put this on all the climate change stuff. Like, stop blocking traffic and making people angry and throwing soup on the Mona Lisa, and just start saying, this is what we're going to lose, people. This is what we're going to lose. Skijoring is disappearing. That will be a far more effective campaign for those climate folks.
Wow.
I love this.
This is so crazy. They're just interviewing different people, and it says Lauren Zimanskova, the chair of Skijor USA, apparently it's an organized sport, promotes the sport and helps organize races across the country. Skijoring is becoming more mainstream with the rise of social media, and she hopes it will one day be featured in the Winter Olympics. Gosh, I hope so. Then we can all enjoy skijoring together. Also, please help me pronounce this word correctly. If you know the pronunciation, please look it up. Skijoring. Skijoring.
Hello.
And then afterward, we'll take a sauna. Skijoring. I don't know why. My voice is doing weird things. But skijoring is particularly popular in Poland and Switzerland, as well as in Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana in the United States.
I love it. Skijoring.
Do they not do this in the UP? Like,
I've
never heard of it either.
Up there. We lived up there for 4 years, and I never heard of pulling skiers behind a horse.
It says 5 years ago there were 350 riders and the amount of skiers were competing in the U.S. Now there are more than 1,000 competitors in each of those categories, and the races has increased from about 15 a year to more than 30.
Man, that sounds so intense and so awesome. Man, and I wish they had it at the Olympics, because then you could get all the camera angles and you could, like, you know what I mean? I bet it's fun to watch in the stands, but it's so far away, right? Because the horse, they got such a long distance. But if you had a camera angle on everything, you could catch every crazy moment.
Just listen to this lady. What? She says she's pushing it to become a non-competitive demonstration sport or to be included in the torch relay at the 2034 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. She says, quote, I think it's one of the most romantic and visually pleasing sports that you could see. It's just magnificent. Everyone loves snow. And then you add the horses to that and cowboys and cowgirls and skiing and bonfires and fun music. I mean, all the elements that go into a Skijoring event, in my opinion, are just really feel-good elements.
Yeah, but that guy needed a cup because the horse was throwing
They were hurtling towards something. I have a hard time believing that that's just a romantic thing. So anyway, I have never heard of this sport before. And I have so many questions. First of all, can we see it?
That's one of the best. I think this is our best episode ever. Like that is such. You've started off the gate with such a high expectation.
That's the best ever.
Try and match it with this story. Okay,
go.
First, are you familiar with the Fire Festival fiasco?
Yes.
Right. So they put on a festival and thousands.
It was a big joke.
There was nothing there, and there was no food, and people were like, "What is happening? This horrible thing." So, basically something very similar happened with a Willy Wonka event.
Oh no.
There was a viral fiasco in Scotland that made kids cry and prompted calls to the police.
Oh dear.
The less than magical Willy Wonka event. All right, so Willy Wonka, a storybook character known for the extraordinary treats that he creates, was recently featured in an event that was anything but. Glasgow, Scotland families, they went to an immersive event that was billed as Willy's Chocolate Experience. Not Wonka, Willy's Chocolate Experience. It's off-brand. And they were met with what they described as an empty warehouse filled with lackluster decorations and a few, if any, promised trees.
That's terrifying. It sounds like the site of a horror movie.
It does. So it's an empty warehouse where parents and kids were given half a cup of lemonade and 2 jelly beans each.
Okay. You need to up the experience, folks. Your budget needs to be bigger next year. Everybody gets a handful of jelly beans, maybe.
Stuart Sinclair, a father of 3 who brought his kids to the event, said there was maybe 20 chairs, a couple of tables, and a half-inflated bouncy castle.
This is nightmarish.
Oh, it's horrifying. The Wonka immersive experience that promised to transport fans to a magical realm left kids in tears. It was such a letdown that customers called the police and compared the attraction to a meth lab. They're like, this is horrifying. And so they used AI to create these images on a website to sell tickets, and then when people showed up and they have pictures, they're like, here's the experience people were promised, here's what it actually
it's horrifying
like. And it is terrible.
A warehouse.
The disappointing, barren, and comical nature of the event brings to mind past scams like the botched music festival Firefest, which is why I brought that up, which brought hundreds of concert goers to the Bahamas for a poorly produced concert that ran low on water. It's using it's drawing scrutiny because it used AI to market a real live events. And the market for live events is growing, but it's difficult for consumers to verify that they're going to get what they're paying for.
How much did people pay for this event?
Let me see if I can find that. Advertisements for the gathering, which were riddled with typos, were similar to those created by AI. So people were thinking, yeah, this is definitely... There's a London-based company called House of Illuminati, which relied heavily on ads that did not depict any aspect of the actual event. Notably, it is not affiliated with the estate of author Roald Dahl, Warner Brothers, or the Wonka franchise at all.
That's super sketch.
Willy's Chocolate Experience.
Somewhere Willy, who didn't
every image
budget
is
enough
AI
for this.
Generated along with gibberish text trying to create. There's not one single picture of giving people an idea of what they're actually shelling out money for. Oh, $44 a ticket for an empty warehouse with a half-inflated bouncy castle and 2 jelly beans and a half a cup of lemonade.
Oh my gosh, it's more than you pay to take your kids to Disney on Ice.
Yep. Basically, this is Fire Festival for kiddos.
That's just awful.
So this is actually a little bit of an older story. I heard about it and I was like, oh, that's amazing, but I didn't write it down. And then I was reminded of it after we'd already recorded last week's episode. And I was like, I have to bring this up because it's just amazing. The Willy's Chocolate Experience. experience.
That is so awful.
And I mean, the AI pictures really do make it look incredible. And it's very clearly Wonka. Like, the guy on it is a little bit cartoonish, but he's got the top hat, the purple jacket. He looks just like Gene Wilder. Like, Gene Wilder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. They charged $40 for entry, advertised it with AI art, said it would be a journey filled with wonderful creations and enchanting
That's
surprises.
terrifying. And just, honestly, whew.
People just have to be careful. Now that you can just feed code or write sentences into a machine and it will spit out gorgeous pictures, people are drawn to stuff. And it's like, no, make sure that you're getting your money's worth. You know?
Yeah,
like,
what are you really paying for?
So,
Someone's
Willy's
cheapo.
chocolate experience.
That's an experience they'll never forget.
They really will. It made kids cry. And then the police were called. I mean, that's about as bad as it gets.
Whew, that's bad. That is bad. So my next story is Canadian influencer dog travels the world, lives a luxurious life with a 75-piece wardrobe worth $2,500.
Hold up. What?
So Bao is a 3-year-old Chihuahua who has been to Paris, Mexico, and Alberta. This 3-year-old Chihuahua is living the good life as his owner packs his suitcase and takes him across the globe.
Cool.
So Bao lives in Toronto with his owner, who has been to Paris, France, Mexico, and Alberta in the last 2 years, staying in 5-star hotels along the way. So his owner, Tran, is a 37-year-old finance worker. She said she got Bao during the COVID pandemic, but the pair didn't start traveling together until 2022. So this dog, she basically takes her dog on travel trips and like
5-star hotels let you bring a dog.
I know, it's very strange.
That strikes me as odd.
She says, I never want to travel without him because he's my baby boy.
No, he's not.
The 6-pound dog's first trip was a 4-hour flight to Lake Louise, Alberta. Since then, they have made it across the pond. Dog owns over 75 pieces of clothing. In Paris, they stayed in the Hotel Louvre, dined at the iconic Café de Flore while making a stop at the Eiffel Tower.
I mean, I bought a lot of T-shirts in my day, but I don't think I own 75 pieces of clothing.
This dog owns luxury stuff. This dog has wardrobe was worth $2,500 and includes items such as a Chanel silk scarf, sparkly jackets, and turtleneck sweaters.
Wow.
You know it's a dog, right?
No, she doesn't. She said it was her little boy. That's no.
Since he was a puppy, I've liked to match his clothes to my neutral aesthetic with trench coats and denim. But Bao is partial to a Hawaiian shirt when on holiday. This woman is my age. She's 37. Tran also noted that there are additional costs involved when bringing a pet on a trip, but it's, quote, more than worth it.
More than worth it. Well, and I mean, if the dog's a giant influencer, it's probably making enough money to subsidize all that nonsense. Look, we have a dog. You can love your dog. It's fine, but they are not the same thing as children. And that's bonkers. And
it's crazy. I get that you love your dog, but it's just very different.
That's just crazy.
Basically, just this dog.
The dog. She puts sunglasses
Puts
on.
a Hawaiian shirt on, sunglasses on the dog. This dog is spoiled.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That's really cute. And it's nice that there are dogs who are treated so nicely. But a little bit, it's like...
Isn't it difficult to find restaurants that are pet friendly? Like, I feel like, because that's a violation, like it's a health violation to bring pets into restaurants unless absolutely necessary.
No. What did she say? It's my emotional support chihuahua.
Yeah, but I just feel like that would be tricky to like find things, to go out of your way to find places that you could like take your dog
nicer
into.
Places. Like,
yeah, especially if you're traveling like
places that are
elite.
Like pet friendly are not usually the highest of quality and most expensive. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, that doesn't really match what I'm thinking of. Do you remember when Lady Gaga... There was like this big news story a long time ago, like 15 years ago or something, where she like rode in a gold wheelchair to the Grammys or something like that. There was some major story. I don't even remember very well, but it was like she had a gold wheelchair. And it was one of those moments where you looked at the wealthy and you thought, have we solved all the other problems in the world? I'm just going to assume that we've solved world hunger and we've solved all the...
Because this is where we're at.
If we're cruising around on completely gold chairs, like it just, and so that's the vibe I'm getting from this Chihuahua thing. It's like, so I'm just gonna assume we've solved all the world's problems if we're able to do that.
It's ridiculous.
Wow. And I don't know, I feel like I'm being mean, but that's hard for me to swallow. It's like, what?
I just can't wrap my mind around paying that much money for clothes for your dog.
Nope. That's more than most people pay for their house. Right? You said $275?
No.
Oh.
25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's so much more reasonable. Come on, that's a car.
Yeah, it's way more reasonable. But the dog has 75 outfits. That's the part that I can't get over. Like,
Nope.
I don't even think I have 75 outfits. I don't even think I have 75 items of clothing. Like, maybe if you count my individual socks, but like, are you kidding me?
I mean, maybe I'm just not doing the math right in my head. Maybe we have tons more clothes than that, but it just doesn't seem like it, you know?
I know. Certainly the dog doesn't need any.
Cute, sort of.
Maybe. The dog was cute.
It's very cute. All right. Have you ever seen the movie Weekend at Bernie's?
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but I know the premise, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, and it's like basically the uncle dies, and so they pretend he's still alive. They put sunglasses on him and keep him alive for a while. I've never seen it, but I understand to be the premise.
Yeah.
Right? So 2 women drove dead man to Ohio bank to withdraw money, police say.
What?
They drove him to the bank. They weekend at Bernie'd this old guy. 2 women are facing charges after police in Ohio say they drove a dead man to the bank to withdraw money from his account.
What?
The investigation started March 4th after the Ashtabula County Medical Center called the police about a dead man who had been dropped off by 2 women. The police said the women left shortly after they arrived, did not provide any information about the men or themselves. They eventually identified the man as 80-year-old Douglas Lehman, and they figured out who the ladies are too, Lorene Ferrallo and Karen Kosbaum, and they learned more about what happened. So apparently they are roommates. These 2 women and this guy, they all live in some kind of housing arrangement. They found him dead in his home where they were all living, all 3 of them, earlier in the day. So with the help of a 3rd unnamed individual, they put him in the front seat of the car. That way he would be visible to the bank staff. Then they drove to the bank and withdrew an undisclosed amount of money from Lehman's account. So they pretended to be him, took him to the bank. And then late after they did that, they took him to the hospital.
That is so messed up.
Turned him in and
this
said,
is someone you were
died.
already living with, and you took a corpse with you.
Yep. And drained his bank account.
That's disgusting.
Oh my god.
That is despicable.
It's just it would be a comedy movie if it wasn't for the fact that it's horrifying.
Oh my gosh, that's awful. This is someone they live with. So these women must have been older?
I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't say how old they were, but
you said that man was 80.
Yeah, so I'm guessing not as old as he was.
This is a strange living situation, but
actually, I know quite a few people who have made arrangements. Sometimes if an older person has a house and they rent rooms out, they're like, I need to make my mortgage payments or whatever. So you guys stay in the guest bedroom, and that's how they meet. I know somebody who he was in his 80s and he needed someone to clean his house, and he ended up offering them his spare room. It was a mom and her son, and they were really tight and hard up for cash, and it was like, why don't you just stay here? You clean and cook and do groceries for me, and you guys can have the spare bedroom.
Oh, interesting.
Those kind of arrangements actually show up a lot. I do think they're unusual, but when it used to be family that did that.
Yeah, true.
But now it's just people who have a shared need. But the fact that they bring in unnamed 3rd individual who comes in and helps them. So they have been charged with gross abuse of a corpse. And they were arraigned at a municipal court. They are reviewing whether more charges will be filed.
Wow.
So they immediately got caught, and it didn't work out at all. So please don't think this is a good idea.
Nope. I definitely did not think it was a good idea. I would never, ever do that anyway.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Wow.
I was shocked when I read that. I was like, I cannot believe this is a real
I can't
story.
imagine finding the person that you live with deceased, and that's where your mind
and your
goes.
brain goes, oh, we should get some money out of his bank account.
He's dead.
Yeah, that's just no respect for the.
Oh, that's awful.
No respect for oh yeah. No.
Whew, boy, that's rough.
Well,
that's rough.
And it's maybe if there was some kind of hey, he owed us money or whatever. You go to the family, you go to the estate, whatever. You go talk to the bank and say, hey, he owed us money. He has passed. How do we go about getting paid, or something? But
yeah.
I assume this is just theft.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is.
We're just gonna steal money.
That's just shameful.
Oh my gosh,
it's terrible.
At least they took him to the hospital after that.
Gosh, should have taken them there first.
I just think that was there's such a crazy story. Like, I'm like, what is happening?
That is awful.
Whew.
I can't.
All right, we got to get away from this. Are you ready for Sponsor Your Life?
Yeah. So this past week, my parents came to help us pack, which was super, super helpful.
It was. That was amazing.
Because they like plowed through a ton of stuff. They were only here for like 3.5 hours, 4 hours, I guess. But they were able to help us pack the entire basement.
Yep.
And most of the like
closets.
Lower level.
Yeah,
and the closets. So that was huge.
It was big.
So yeah, I mean, I ran to Home Depot to grab some extra boxes just in case, and like they crushed it. They did a great job packing, so I was really grateful for that. So yeah, that was kind of sponsored my life this week, because otherwise it would have been me trying to pack in little snippets around kids.
Well, and it's so challenging when you have the infant, because like even Asher, he gets into stuff, but you can pretty much like, here's some toys, go play over there.
He's more easy to entertain.
Yeah, but like Maggie, when she needs attention, she needs complete attention. You need both my arms to be held. So usually one of us is down for the count, right? Like,
yep.
So yeah, to be able to be like, I'll hold baby, you guys do this closet or whatever.
Yeah, like we took turns holding her, and then
really
like
helpful.
one of us was working with them, or one of us was working with the boys, or whatever needed to happen. But yeah, they packed a ton of stuff, and I was super grateful. And then they took a bunch of it to their basement so that they could store it until we moved. So that was huge. Yeah. How about you?
Let's see. Sponsor my life. You know what? So we did some more house visits this past week. And we took the kids this time, which is crazy.
An adventure.
Well, and I mean, I've gone by myself, and then you and I have gone. And so this time we brought the kids. We toured 3 houses in less than an hour, including the lizard house.
The reptile house.
It was a whole big crazy thing.
They actually did a really good job.
They were amazing. We have 5 children. They're not usually totally like, there's, meltdowns happen and that kind of stuff, but they were rock stars.
They were. I was so proud of them.
As a little reward, we had our lunch that we had made and brought, but then we stopped at McDonald's and we hit up those Shamrock Shakes. And I got to tell you, that neon green toxic chemical sludge, whatever's in there, is very delicious, and the boys loved it. And it was
their
fun.
first experience having a Shamrock Shake.
Yeah, they never touched.
They've never had. Actually, I don't even think they've ever had a McDonald's shake before. I think they've been to McDonald's like once in their life. So I was like, they were so intrigued / excited about this green shake that we let them share, and kudos to them. They actually shared very well.
It was so cute. We got one big shake for 2 boys, and we split it that way, and then you and I split one, and it was perfect. It was so much fun, and it was delicious. Took me back. I haven't had a Shamrock Shake in
I haven't
years,
had one probably a decade.
Oh man, there it is. And it's not even that good.
I don't like them. That's what I realized. We went and I realized I did not like them.
It tugs at my heart, on my memory. It's like, remember Shamrock Shake? I actually do like them, but the one that you and I shared had significantly like more of the mint stuff than normal. Like I drank some of the other boys, and I was like, this is a normal shake. Ours was like vibrant green.
It's true. It did. It looked like the chemicals that
it's like somebody spilled too much of the stuff inside the shake, and it was
the toxic waste sludge.
It looked like toxic waste. It was delicious. I drank the whole thing. Don't get me wrong. But that made me laugh.
But it was a funny little jaunt to McDonald's. So
it was. All right. So, are you ready for our hot topic?
I guess I have to be.
I'm so excited because I think it's going to be fun, because I think we disagree. So, Sarah, let me ask, do all dogs go to heaven?
Oh, my God. If you're talking about the classic 1989
I want to say late 80s, yep.
Then yes. But if you're talking in real life, no, I'm sorry to say that dogs do not, in fact, go to heaven. Right, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one. I'm ready for it.
Our 3 listeners will send you all kinds of hate mail.
And you're one of them, so I'm ready for the 2 people to come at me.
Put a burning bag of dog poop on your doorstep, so watch out.
Ooh, well, I'm moving soon, so joke's on you.
All right, so tell me, give me your rationale, because I think I might agree with you, or at least that's what I grew up with as well, but I wonder where you're coming from. So no animals in heaven.
It's not explicitly stated in Scripture.
There you go. And that's true. I do think, so for me, I used to be, no, probably not. Animals don't go to heaven. But Actually, this ties in with that Chihuahua story, right? Is it your child? Is it because people invest a lot of energy into their
Sorry to say, your Chihuahua will not be with you in heaven.
Nope. But here's the thing. I do think there are animals in heaven. Like, I don't think that things other than humans have a soul.
Oh, I fully agree with that one.
Right?
Yeah.
But I do think like I think there's going to be plants and animals in heaven, but because I think there are a lot of scriptural illustrations that talk about having animals in heaven, right? Like the child will play with the snakes and not get bitten, or the lion will lay down with the lamb, or you know what I mean? Like they're understood to be metaphorical, but there's a lot of animal ones, you know? And
I don't know. I don't know.
Not your thing. So you're pretty convinced no animals in
And
heaven.
no offense to you if that's what you think. Like, if that's what you believe, that's fine. I'm not like, I'm not attacking you as a person. I just disagree with you. I just don't think there's any, dogs in heaven.
Yeah. So I found this article, Religion News Service, animal chaplains offer spiritual care for every species. Apparently, there is a job of animal chaplain.
I have a hard time with this because, why? And
I was
why?
Trying to take a drink and I almost choked.
Like the dog doesn't.
With this because why?
I have many questions. First of all, how dare you?
Animal chaplain Sara Bowen says this is beyond animal blessings and pet funerals.
Well, this whole discussion is beyond me. So,
all right. So hold on. Let's back up a bit because she talks about animal blessings and pet funerals, and I actually think that you could get to a place where both of those things have value without saying they go to heaven. You know, like
yeah.
So animal blessings, we've actually done that before, right? Like in Flushing.
Yeah, we've gone to blessing the animals.
Yeah, it was really cute. Everybody brought their dogs and
Cats.
Yep.
I think a few people brought cats.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we prayed for the pet. You know, we prayed that they would have a long life. And we thanked God for their presence in our life, the comfort that they give us. But it was really just thank you, God, for this pet, right? Please watch over this pet. It was not, I think this pet has a soul, you know?
Yeah.
Now, a pet funeral, I could understand that as a grieving process for a child or maybe an adult. Something to honor and remember the one who is gone, but not necessarily like and I know you accepted Jesus into your heart, little
so
dog.
I'll see you when I die too.
Sara Bowen says she's been doing the work of animal chaplain since she was 6 years old.
She worked in the pet cemetery, didn't she?
Stephen King. Raised in the Midwest as a Presbyterian preacher's kid. Okay, so this is like she was often hauled.
I don't know many Presbyterians that be doing that.
Well, and also like you know when Liam offers communion to his stuffed animals after watching me do communion at church.
True.
That's what's going on here. I feel
That's
like
true.
she's like. It says she was hauled into hospice facilities and funeral homes. She noticed that the chipmunks and other animals crumpled by the side of the road weren't treated with the same compassion shown to people.
That's because they're roadkill. I'm so sorry, honey. She clearly did never go hunting with her father.
Man.
Didn't ever.
Today, Bowen is an interfaith animal chaplain with credentials from Chicago Theological Seminary, One Spirit Interfaith Seminary, and Emerson Theological Institute.
One Spirit Interfaith Seminary.
Yeah.
Some problems with her credentials here. She's not actually.
In a very big way. She continues to create rituals that both dignify the death of animals and empower those that grieving that death, whether it's loss of a loyal golden retriever or the untimely death of a feisty beloved goat. Did you ever hear that old G.K. Chesterton line? Your face. Oh my gosh, I just looked up.
Sorry, I'm having trouble digesting this one.
It's so much. So, do you remember the line? And maybe you don't, but G.K. Chesterton, shoot, what was the line? He was like arguing with an atheist one time, and he was like, it's not that, if you become an atheist, it's not that you believe in no God. It's that anything can become your God.
Yeah.
Or it's not that you will live a life without religion. It's that you will live a life of any religion.
Yeah.
It's like if you remove God from his actual role, you will fill it with something else.
Something,
like
yeah.
Do you remember the lady the pet psychic, right? Who charged people like crazy money to talk to dead animals and stuff. And it's like people are inherently religious. This is how we're wired as people.
They'll grasp at anything for meaning.
And it just, I feel like it's like, that's what's going on here. It's like she's stepped away from maybe the actual religious upbringing of her youth and said, well, I think this just applies how I want it to apply to animals. And
I don't know, but it kind of seems predatory because it kind of seems like you're preying on people in a very,
I'm sad
fragile
about my
state.
pet.
Like, I'm sad, and that's that's genuine sadness. Like your pet passed away, or whatever. And she's like, "Hey, this is a great money making opportunity for me."
She's held wakes for goats, where humans gathered alongside other goats and sheep to share stories about the goats' antics. I don't know. On the one hand, I do think like in a funeral, when I have real funerals for people, sorry.
You don't have to say real funeral for people. You could just say a funeral because that's for humans.
Well, and so like when we do that, I do think that the story sharing helps with the grieving process.
It does.
That's
absolutely.
a big part of it. And I always encourage that. I'm like, share stories, laugh together, cry together. That's what this is. And so I think if people want to get together and like, let's celebrate how much we're going to miss her and tell goofy stories and maybe have some food. Like, I'm not against that. Like, that's fine. But she's over spiritualizing it.
It's very much like, I think about like when our chickens died, like when we lost chickens, like I loved having chickens. I really liked my chickens, but they weren't humans.
Well, and I do think,
does it make me a horrible person? Like, am I like a horribly like uncaring person that's so callous? Like, I mean, I had 6 chickens and many of them were killed by wild animals, and I felt sad every time one was gone, and I was disappointed, but I didn't have a funeral for it. I guess that's like cycle of life. Like humans are different. Like
I do think that because like as we have developed like the grocery store world, I think people have gotten farther away. We've become so far removed from what happens to animals. You know what I mean? Like, that's true. I get my beef in a little saran wrap tin at the grocery store.
I don't know where it came from. I don't know.
Yeah, like you forget
the life it lived or who raised it.
There's a slaughterhouse, and that's totally normal. And there's like when you shoot a deer or whatever, and it's like very few people have direct connection with the death of animals.
That's true.
So any kind of death suddenly is very traumatic, whereas it may have been like basically commonplace. Like it's not that big a deal for a chicken to die.
That's true.
It's like we eat chicken all the time, and it's like. But if you're so far removed from it, suddenly the death becomes more exotic, I guess.
I suppose.
And I think people are just, they're just trying to take the mundane and turn it into meaningful in ways that they don't need to. It's like there are meaningful things out there, right? And
we don't need to
don't let this replace your like, I don't know.
That's so interesting. But sorry, I'm not gonna.
You're gonna pass.
Throw my money at pet funerals and.
This goes beyond animal blessings and pet funerals. What we're talking about are deep, systemic, and existential questions about our relationship with other species. And I think that those are just buzzwords. What is systemic about this?
There's nothing systemic about it.
There's no existential question. Not really. Nope. We answered it. You just ignored the answer.
Yeah. You just didn't like it.
So apparently there's a registered trademark for the phrase pet chaplain. To be a pet chaplain, you have to be approved by Rob Gierke, who founded the Pet Chaplain organization in 2004. It's the term refers specifically to his organization.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, so you just made this up. 2004, that's when you invented this idea. This is not a thing.
Oh, that's very interesting. I disagree with you.
So anyways, I thought that was fascinating.
That is very interesting. Also, I disagree.
I don't know. I like the idea that there are animals in heaven. I don't know that I like the idea of like, how do I say this? Like that they don't have souls, right? There is a difference between humans and the rest of creation. We were, when God made humans, he said, this one is in my likeness. The rest of it is beautiful and wonderful. I love creation, right? Obviously, he looked at creation, said it was good, but he did not say to animals, this one is like
this
me.
Is equal.
This one is in my image. Yeah, well, and even humans aren't equal, right? But it's like God, humans, angels, the rest of creation. You know, and it's like that's pretty clearly outlined.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, anytime you start spiritualizing, that's not right. Spiritualizing.
Good job. You're good with the words.
I can talk with the words good. But anyways, I thought that was worth talking about.
Yeah, that was decent.
Chaplain.
That was decent.
Hard pass from the Mantreks.
Just for me, at least. Sorry.
Definitely. Well, no, but see, even if I'm open to the idea that there are animals in heaven, I do not. I'm not on board with any of this because I feel like they're filling in the religion hole.
Yeah, with worship of this
made up stuff, you know. And I think it's pretty clear they're making it up. It's I invented this organization in 2004. If you use this word, you're referring to me. And it's like, okay, so it's not like there's no historical anything.
You're just trying to monetize something.
Yep. And again, I have no problem with a celebration of a life where you want to remember and grieve and move past. Or if you want to do a blessing of the animals, you want to pray over an animal, that's beautiful. That's a wonderful thing.
Yep.
But yeah, this whole pet chaplain thing, no.
That's weird.
No.
That's weird.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks so much for listening. We love making this podcast. We hope you love listening to it. I don't know. Do we have any announcements or anything coming up? Life's about to get crazy for us. So if we end up moving soon, it may be tricky for us.
There may be no episodes for a little while.
When my in-laws were here this weekend packing up, these microphones almost ended up in a box. So
it's true.
I had to save them. I was like, oh, no, we're going to use those. So yeah, we'll try to put out episodes as much as we can because it is fun to like take a break and make this stuff. I always look forward to it. So are you ready to send us out with the Mom Joke of the Week?
Okay, I am. Yeah.
What do you got?
So I learned how to prevent an elephant from charging you.
Something about a mouse? I don't know.
No, you pay him in cash.
Oh. I didn't think it was funny. But your face reaction to my
learned how to prevent an elephant from charging me.
Because cash. Yeah.
Okay.
Because charging could be running.
Okay, well, how about this one? Why doesn't Darth Vader use the metric system?
I don't know.
He prefers imperial units.
Oh, I like that. There you go.
Didn't get a laugh like the other one that apparently wasn't as funny. So
the other one was not funny. I laughed at your face because you were making a face at me. All right.
Bye.